Want to explain the difference between mini bassoon and tenoroon for us?
Yeah, the mini bassoon is in G and slightly smaller than the tenoroon. Actually, unless they were next to each other, you probably wouldn't immediately know whether or not you had a mini bassoon or a tenoroon in your hands. That's how small the difference is not that great. The bigger the instrument, the more stable it is. So, if you have the option to, if you're big enough for a tenoroon, then I would probably say start on a tenoroon rather than a mini, because also it's slightly closer to the size of bassoon you're aiming for. It's making the child look comfortable on the instrument that they're going to play. So it's a great beginner instrument because you can make a nice sound and a big tune and impress people from almost lesson one. You have to teach to the level of the child that's in front of you. You have to have different expectations of a 7-year-old starting to a 13 or 14-year-old.
About the attention span.
Attention span. You've got to keep changing what you're doing, different activities, different tasks. Set them the sort of music. I would teach obviously different pieces, different repertoire to a 7-year-old to what I would teach to an adult, for example. So yes, you've got to mix it up a bit. But actually, apart from that, there's not much in it. You want to teach good technique. I think as long as you know what good technique means on the bassoon, there are certain things that you really want to get right in terms of left hand thumb position, for example.
Right.
And this is one of the benefits of a small instrument, because there are some people who used to start people on a full-size bassoon too young, so they would allow their left hand thumb to sit in the air rather than press down on the crook key, because the crook key, they would cover other keys at the same time, so they would teach bad thumb technique in order to get them started. And children never seem to get over that. You want good thumb technique, but on a smaller instrument they can have their hands set up in the correct position. I've had several pupils take grade 8 at the age of 9, and some of these 11-year-olds have got diplomas now.
That's fantastic.
And I transpose the piano parts, or I transpose what I'm playing for duets. So I do the transposing.
Yep.
So that they wouldn't have a clue that anything strange was happening, really. The only difficulty is with ensembles, because there are very few ensembles which come with either a tenoroon or a mini bassoon part. There are no other instruments in F in the bass clef. There are no other instruments in G at all, be it treble or bass clef. So you have to work with any ensemble directors. You have to work closely with them to incorporate your pupils into a band. If you're not running the ensemble yourself, you have to give them a heads up that your pupil is going to be coming. I would often offer to write the parts out myself to get them into the band. So actually, they blend really nicely into an ensemble, but it is extra work writing the part. But once you've done it once, when you reuse that repertoire 3 or 4 years' time, you've still got it.
And so when you play the tenoroon, do you use a normal bassoon reed? Is it a normal size reed?
You can just put a reasonably soft bassoon reed on the end and it works fine. So there's no special needs really for teaching.
Do you want to talk a tiny bit about junior oboes in your music service as well? Are you aware of them?
Yes, absolutely. They're equally as important, really. The fantastic thing is, again, you can start children younger on an instrument that doesn't have all the extra keys getting in the way, inhibiting them and accidentally pressing down side keys that mean, suddenly you're shot up an octave. So it means that children can access the oboe. There's no difficulty putting it together with worrying about all the keys between the two joints, so you can use them in bigger groups and with smaller children without them worrying about them damaging or bending the mechanism. In fact, we use junior oboes in projects, whole class projects, and they're a huge success. They're the greatest success we have in terms of projects, because you've got a working, as long as you've got a good reed, a working instrument with all covered holes that makes a great sound and looks like a proper instrument. They love it.